All right. I've been really looking forward to this morning for a long time. Scott has been with WVU Tech for what, 3 years?
2.5, but it feels like longer. Just kidding.
Don't be smart. And he immediately, this is on the Montgomery campus, immediately joined the group that I was part of and am still part of for lunch, and came to know him very quickly as a man of great wit, intellect, integrity, and a great passion, a great passion for our youth. He is the Assistant Dean of Student Life. He oversees all the TRIO programs, and he's going to tell us about the TRIO programs a little bit this morning. Scott is also a gay gentleman. He is completely out. It is known throughout the campus that it's not a big deal. At least I hope not, for the most part. Not And he's going to speak to us this morning about the hopes, needs, and desires for a spiritual community within the LGBTQ community. This also intersects with his activities in TRIO. So, oh, my sweet colleague and friend, would you please come up here and be Scott?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello.
I thought I would give a little background into who I am, and then talk a little bit about what I do, and then how that kind of segued into my other activities on campus. I put all my notes on my phone because I just moved this weekend from the west side of Charleston to the big town of Beaver. So I was telling Marcia when I got here, I literally had everything unpacked. I don't know how I did it. And we had a new student registration meeting yesterday. I'm really impressed. According to my Fitbit, I walked almost 20,000 steps on Friday and 60 flights of stairs, and I felt every bit of it when I lay down on Friday evening. So just a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Wayne County, so I grew up right on the Kentucky-Ohio border. My mom worked at the welfare office, as we called it, for 36 years. My dad is a Vietnam veteran. He worked at a grocery store, so I was low income first generation student going to college. I was lucky to get into a program called Upward Bound, which is a TRIO program, and it completely, changed my path. For where I'm from, you either work in the coal mine or Walmart. You don't really have a lot of opportunity where I'm from. So I was in Upward Bound, went to college. In college, I was in student support services. After I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I worked for an educational talent search program that works with students in grades 6 through 12. So before I came to Tech to be the director of student support services, I was working with 275 to 300 kids every year in Wayne and Mason counties to get them to go to college to kind of break the cycle of poverty. How that plans out with this new president, I don't know. No comment, I'll keep that to myself. But coming to Tech, I started at Tech in July of 2014. Came in the year the grant was due. I'd written one grant before that in the value of $1,250. I was writing a $1.7 million grant to provide services to 215 students on our campus. I'm very passionate about the work that I do because I've benefited greatly from what I'm able to do now as an adult. We were refunded for another 5 years, and we provide students on the Tech campus with a variety of resources. The main thing the students love is the free printing and the free coffee. I tell them that when they start, they may not like coffee, but by the time midterms and finals rolls around, they'll be a coffee drinker. And that's very true. But our students, 2/3 have to be low income and first generation. And then the other third needs to be disabled or disabled and low income. And each year, like I said, we work with 215 students. We provide academic advising, career advising, financial aid advising. If you can put the word advising after it, we probably talk about it. And one of the things that we're really proud of is we provide students with cultural experiences. It's something that I truly enjoy doing. A few weeks ago, we took them to Charleston to see Jesus Christ Superstar. And we had dinner at Grano's Mediterranean restaurant. For a lot of the kids, it was the first time they'd ever had lamb or hummus. And, they were very shocked. Like, what is that? Anytime when we see or try something, we go, what is that? And then afterwards, they're like, shoving the food in their mouth, kind of. But it's great to see that joy on their face. I was looking around. We were in the center of we were middle of the stage, center. And just looking back and forth and seeing the look of joy and happiness on the students' faces. That makes every battle that we fight within our program on this regional and state level, and now the national level, even more important. Because we want our students to go on and graduate and in that cycle of poverty. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have a lot going on with our program, and we always like to say TRIO works because it does. Which then led me into, hey Scott, do you want to be an advisor for a student organization? Well, that started out as one, and now I'm the advisor for 4 student organizations on campus.
It's Tech.
I know. They're like, Scott, will you? I'm like, sure. But I started working with a young lady last spring to start something called the Tech Alliance, which is our LGBT ally organization on the Tech campus. There were rumblings back in the 90s that apparently there was an organization for LGBT, but I had no clue, but it kind of died away. Our organization is open to all Tech students, and surprisingly enough, we didn't know when we started. There's a lot of concern. If you've ever been to Montgomery, it's not always the most forward-thinking or open-minded area of the world for a lot of students. And something people don't understand about Tech is we have a lot of out-of-state students that come from large cities. A perfect example is a young man that's in our program but also in Tech Alliance is from DC. And I still don't know how he ended up at Tech, but he did. And he wanted this organization, but he was afraid because he was a young African-American male who also happened to be gay. So we had to have some real strong conversations with him to say, we will protect you as much as we can so that you feel safe on this campus. And he was leery to even come to the first couple of meetings because he didn't know what was going to happen. And to our surprise, the very first meeting, we had 20 students. Now, most of them were students in my program, but you got to start somewhere. I was expecting 2 or 3, to be quite honest. And surprisingly enough, it was more allies than it was LGBT students. But in a way, that's also a very good way to start. When students can see that their friends support them as they go through this journey. As we know, going from 18 to 20, 21, 22, 34 is a lot of change goes on, and you're trying to figure out who you are, and for a lot of them, they're away from home, and this group on campus has really become almost like a second family for a lot of these students. And the young man who I just mentioned that was afraid to come to meetings, he came out to his mother in, I want to say, September, October, now to us, it was a surprise. First I met him, I was like, oh, hey, but I didn't didn't say it. It's one of those things where I'm working on think 10, say 1. I used to have a boss that said that. You can think whatever, just filter it. It's hard for me to do. But his mom actually told him not to come home for Thanksgiving this year. Because she said he was just going through a phase. I can assure you, this young man is not going through a phase. However, students in Montgomery that lived there had him over for Thanksgiving, so he actually went to 2 Thanksgiving dinners in Montgomery. He didn't have a car, so he couldn't really go anywhere, and there's no taxi cab system in Montgomery. But his friends through the Alliance, the Tech Alliance, actually stepped in and said, you're coming over for Thanksgiving. And he had 2 Thanksgiving meals out of it, which for him, I actually showed him that he can have a different definition of what a family is. Because, sometimes you can't choose your family, you can choose your friends, but sometimes your friends become your family. which tends to be the case a lot of times in the LGBTQ community. A lot of them face families who disown them, kick them out. In West Virginia, we don't have a center set aside just for LGBT youth to go to. They can go to a regular shelter, but the shelter could kick them out because they are LGBTQ. A lot of our allies and even some of our LGBT students were shocked to learn that if they were a gay male and had had intercourse with another man since 1978, they couldn't give blood without abstaining for a year. The Red Cross will not take their blood. So, since World AIDS Day was on Thursday, I had that discussion with students in my office. One thing my office has become is a place for students to come and they hang out, but we had some very engaging conversation while they're there. And one of them was about how gay men cannot give blood. And a woman who's had sex with multiple individuals with HIV or AIDS can give blood.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, as a community, for our students, one of the things is sometimes they don't understand that the power of their voice, that people who are experienced and have lived life a little, for them, it makes it easier for our students to have somebody to look up to say, hey, this is what, when I told a student that somebody could be kicked out of housing because they're gay in West Virginia, they were shocked.
Yeah.
I said, they can also be fired in West Virginia for being gay.
I know there's been fighting against that, but
Yeah.
I don't know what the progress has been.
Well,
Considering last year, or this past legislative session, that they had the religious freedom bill that almost passed,
Right.
I don't see that happening in our state for all.
I think it's taken a blow in federal
Yeah.
courts too, just
So-
recently.
So it's, for a lot of our students, they don't understand the law because they're still trying to figure out who they are. It's something they don't have to worry about. They've kind of been shrouded in a cloud of, protection, and now they're in the real world and they don't understand that. And for our students, one thing, I've shared with them, your all's invitation to come and participate. We actually will be having some activities that I want to invite you all to.
Cool.
We'll make sure that Marcia can share them with you. The first thing is I've worked with 6 organizations or offices on the Tech campus to bring a gentleman named Hudson Taylor to our campus. He's actually a straight ally, and he's created something called Athlete Ally. He was a 2 or 3 time Division I wrestling champion at 195 pounds from the University of Maryland. And in his world, he wrestled, but he was a theater major. So he had this world surrounded by LGBT and people of love and acceptance, and then he went to the locker room and heard this horrible language. And they were fighting within him. He was hearing these things. So he ended up actually wrestling with the Human Rights Campaign equality stickers on the side of his headgear. And he gained national attention for that. So then that led to this whole organization where he now goes around to schools and gets their athletic departments to start becoming a place of social change on campus, to change the language in the locker room and in the classroom. That will be taking place in February. He's actually coming down from New York City, and it's sponsored by the Tech Athletics, Tech Alliance, my program, because I can say they can do it. The Student Life Office, there are a lot of offices on campus that are making this happen, and it'll actually be in Montgomery, and you all are more than welcome if you want to come and hear what he talks about. The coaches are actually requiring their athletes to come. Because there are about 1,300-ish students on the Tech campus, and if you go with statistics, that means there's about 130 LGBTQ students on our campus, about 10%. Sometimes it's easy to pick them out. I just want to be like, hey. And we don't have a membership card to give out. I had one young man come out to me, and I wanted to be like, do you want the cake and confetti, because we don't have one. Or they didn't tell me about it. but it's just creating that culture of support and love. One thing that is really great about our campus is we hosted something called the Lavender Graduation Ceremony. And for a campus our size and our location, it's quite wonderful because it's an LGBT graduation ceremony. And it recognizes those students within Tech Alliance who are graduating. And actually, Lavender graduations began after a mother was kicked out of her child's graduation for being a lesbian. She was not allowed to see her child graduate. So Tech joined a long list, not long enough, but a long list of schools. We are the second school in the state of West Virginia to host the graduation ceremony. Our campus president, Carolyn Long, came and spoke, and she told the students, she said, if anybody ever says anything to any of you all about being in this organization, you come to me, or you send them to me.
That's tough stuff.
Yeah, and coming from Carolyn, that means it's not going to be pretty for the other person, because she truly cares about our students. And to have the support of our campus president, all of our deans, and everyone on the exec staff means a lot to our students, because now that the students have seen that these individuals of power, are on their side, that's changed some of their perspectives about our campus community. I know some of them are excited about the move to Beckley because there's a stoplight. We don't have those in Montgomery.
Oh, man.
We don't have.
That's a step up. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, for them, they're like, the fact, because a lot of our.
There's a grocery store.
Well, yeah, in
There's
town.
several.
Yeah, there's several grocery, but there's not a Walmart.
Mm.
No, here.
Oh
there's
yeah, here
grocery
they have
stores.
a lot of more opportunity here, but for them, Beckley has a larger LGBT community, obviously, than Montgomery.
I don't think we have an LGBT club anymore. We've had several.
Well,
They kind of come
yeah,
and go.
I've met a couple of people, going out to lunch and been like, oh, hey, and we start talking about what I do, and they're like, oh, that's awesome, and then they'll like share that they are LGBT, so it's going to be great for our students as far as making a connection and role models, because also on our campus there's not a lot of LGBTQ role models. There are two that I know of, and I am one of them, and our CFO is the other. And we both co-advise the Tech Alliance together. So it's, in addition to our other responsibilities, we're having to serve as role models for a lot of these students. But the move here, I think, excites the students because there's more opportunity, not just to do social activities, and I'll be smart and say, go to the movies or go out to eat. I know what college students do.
Right.
More than I wish I knew sometimes. But the location of your all's church here to campus is going to be a wonderful, wonderful connection for a lot of them, because they have been burned by religion.
Maybe we can get the coffee houses started again, because that would be awesome.
Yeah,
they used to be really popular. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because our organization meets every other Wednesday at 5, right, for this academic year. Now, after that, who knows what will happen. A lot of the students, like I said, are away from home, don't have a lot of money, so they like free. But the ease to which they could come here for a service or fellowship will mean a lot to them, knowing that they have people in their corner in the community. I know that the current mayor, not to offend anybody in the room, the current mayor was not going to vote on an ordinance for protections for LGBTQ individuals in the Beckley area, in Beckley. And it's not on his radar. That has been shared with President Long, because we want to make sure, as moving to the community, that they understand they're getting all of us, not just the ones they like. They're getting a whole plethora, mix of people coming, 1,300 people, student-wise, coming to the town.
And growing.
And growing. And I imagine there'll be a surge this coming fall, when we are here officially. but having somewhere for them to go that can be a home away from home, in the evenings, on the weekends, out in the community to see a face of somebody they know will mean a lot to these students. I've watched them grow in the 2 years that we've had this organization and to see how much it has impacted their lives. It's also been very interesting to see how it's impacted the ally's life, because and talking to them what it means to be an ally, and sharing with them that, hey, the person sitting beside you could be fired because they're gay. And they're like, what? That's stupid. I said, you all have the power to change that. But sometimes they need the role models, which I'm seeing all around the room, to teach them how to do that. They don't always understand the process or bucking the system and the follow through that's needed. And one thing I will say, I went the reading this morning, listen to the speech of others, listen even more to their silence. Our students have a lot of silence. That silence is usually based in hurt. The language that's put on social media. If you've never heard of Yik Yak, consider yourself blessed. It's a social media app where people can talk anonymously about each other on a college campus. Yeah, you can only imagine some of the things we've had to deal with. So if our students are silent, it's not because they don't trust you or know where to go. It's just that they're trying to fill out because they don't know who's there. A lot of times for the LGBT community, who's there to help them, who's there to hurt them. I will say in the 2 years that I've been there, 2.5 at Tech, I think our organization has helped turn the tide a little bit because there is more open discussion of LGBT, and it's not necessarily in a negative way. We actually have an out wrestler on our wrestling team. There are some others that are questioning in the athletics on the male side. So for us to be a campus where male athletes feel comfortable to come into their true self speaks volumes for our campus.
It's ginormous.
Yes. People always joke, like, well, if you need members, just go find the women's softball team. I'm like, let's not be a stereotype here.
Right.
Not every person that's on the softball team or the women's basketball team is a lesbian. Just because that's what's portrayed in the media does not mean that that is the truth. So when we moved to Beckley, I think it'd be great if we can partner, have some of you all come to our meetings, hear what we talk about. We do a lot of fundraisers to raise money. They're still trying to get t-shirts, and daggone if they don't want that gay pride flag put right across the chest of it. Whatever. I mean, to see that kind of growth, we're afraid to come to the meetings or we want a t-shirt with the gay pride flag on it. You all are more than welcome to come to our Lavender graduation in April. It's April 26th. I will make sure that you all get the information from Marcia. We actually have a Facebook group. If you'd like to see, I can improve your membership. I can send that out to Marcia so you all can also kind of see what we do.
What's it called?
Tech Alliance. We talk about our meetings and our people coming to campus. Again, Hudson Taylor, we're working actually to get Fairness West Virginia to come. The president, or I guess you call him the president now, of the organization, come and actually talk to the students, especially with the legislation, how the legislature is going to play out this year. These students aren't always paying attention to that and how it's going to impact their lives. So when that stuff comes up, I ask you just to be their voice. Contact your local representatives. Call Evan Jenkins if you got to. I talk to Evan a lot because I'm on our national trio board now. I go to, this time next week, I'll be making my first trip ever to New York City. Well, I went for a day and saw a show, but for a week. It's like Christmas, literally, in New York. But be their voice, send that one email. Say, hey, this isn't conducive to our LGBT community in West Virginia. One of the things, we talk a lot about straight white male privilege, no offense to anybody in the room, within Tech Alliance, and even gay white male privilege. Because it seems like if you're in West Virginia and you're gay and white male, you have a little bit more privilege than if you're a person of color. So taking the time to understand what that means and using that power to benefit the students. When I was on town council in Wayne, one of the guys that I was on town council with is now in the state legislature. Don't think I won't be calling Robbie and say, hey buddy, we need to have a talk.
I have a
So-
question.
No. Your questions are only allowed at lunch. I told you this, Marcia.
No. What sort of programming, what sort of outreach can we do? How can we serve, and how can we help develop? We talk a lot about beloved community here, and in fact, this particular small congregation is very, very good at helping each other with their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I just opened up my phone to my notes, and the first thing that opened up was their mental health. A lot of our students go and spend time with our behavioral health therapists to talk through a lot of their issues. But also, I'm a big follower of RuPaul, so sorry about it if you're not shocked. If you don't know who RuPaul is, Google. He's probably the most famous drag queen. When she's in drag. She even jokes around calling herself she in male drag. Because she says everything, you're born naked and the rest is drag. But one of the things she talks about is finding your tribe and finding where you belong. That's kind of the role this congregation can play. A lot of our students don't have cars. So getting them from the Montgomery campus to here, that doesn't mean that we can't program something where we do something over here or we can do it on campus. If you'd want to do a coffee house, we can schedule a date next semester even, because we don't have our meeting dates. I'll get safety pins. We already have our dates scheduled. We have our own website. The institution gave us Tech Alliance. We're one of the few student orgs to have a website, and it has links for our students. You know, if they're transgender, we have transgender students on campus. It's not widely known, but we do. And so we have those resources for students. You know, HIV, AIDS hotlines, suicide hotlines, all of that, so that's at their reach. But back to your question of what you can do, I think just sitting down and listening. For a lot of the kids, it's just developing a new family. Because one thing you will find out about the Tech campus when we are all here, we are a large family.
It really is tight.
We are very tight-knit, even with our students. I mean, I get messages all hours of the night, I get Snapchats, I get tweets from students, and sometimes I'm checking in on them to make sure they're doing okay. Especially with our young man whose mom said don't come home for Thanksgiving. But you'll find that our campus is very close-knit, and our students love the idea of family for a lot of them because they don't have it, even if they weren't LGBT. So I think coming here, having a movie night, having popcorn. I mean, little things go a long way with our students just because it shows the appreciation and creating that community. If you want to have a RuPaul's Drag Race night, let me know. I can hook you up. I might get a little out of hand. You think I'm laughing?
I know you.
Yeah. One thing I didn't think I was going to talk about RuPaul. She's not on the list. Yeah.
You know, I don't know how long it's gonna be available, but if they haven't already done so, it might be a really good thing to run the series of Transparent.
Yeah, I would.
That's interesting. I really would like at this point for people to jump in and participate with your thoughts, your
Yes.
questions, your suggestions.
If you have questions about LGBTQ, I can answer them the best that I know how. If not, I'll get the information to Marcia and have her forward it.
Sorry,
I
No,
like
go for it.
questions.
I'm yappy. This isn't exactly a question. It's a suggestion, and a thought. Anyway,
Okay.
suggestion for the LGBTQ community acceptance in this area.
Mhm.
I strongly suggest hitting them where it counts in this area, which is financially,
Mhm.
and making a big push toward publicizing the fact that these people, these students, are gonna be spending money in our community, and they should be made to feel welcome. I don't know if they're aware of, there's a website called openforbusiness.org,
Okay.
and you can register your business as being an accepting, which mine is, computer shake up the road.
Okay.
Advertisement. You know, registered as an accepting place for basically any fringe group.
Okay.
Also, the thought I wanted to share, which I say this a lot when we start talking about community outreach. It's a little bit of a concern because in our outreach, I think we need to gently be open about the fact that this, although we are a welcoming
Yeah.
place, we need to be cautious about giving people the wrong impression that we're not like a Christian community.
Mhm.
So because people come here looking for that,
Yeah.
and then they get offended and
Yeah.
they go away. And you know, it's okay for people to come here and not feel comfortable and leave, but I don't like offending people.
I think for our students, I think a what is session by someone from the
That'd be
congregation
awesome. Yeah,
to talk to the students, like what you all do
yeah,
and who you are and what you can find here
yeah.
when you come through the door, other than peppermint scones. Just saying. Peppermint goes a long way with me too. Peppermint and RuPaul. I'm real easy to please. Yes, sir.
For the students who are old enough to, go out and have a beer once in a while, have a good time, you might want to tell them never to go in Jimmy's place up the road.
Okay.
They have a sign out there, welcomes
Yeah.
Tech students.
Yeah, I've seen that.
If you're rednecks and like to drink beer and, cuss and talk about the locker room
Okay, yeah.
talk, tell them.
That's not the place to go.
And
No.
try not to be openly gay.
Yeah.
Mm.
The holding of the hands and the kissing in public.
And I really want to support the Friday night coffee house thing, getting back in the swing here.
Yeah.
That's
Our-
how I got involved with this church.
Because right now in Montgomery, there's nothing to do after a Thursday evening.
Yeah,
Now in Beckley, they're going to have more opportunities to go out, to go to the movies. You don't understand. When we brought students down here last year for chili night, and I was just picking kids up left and right. Said, get in the car, we're going to Beckley. They didn't have a role to play. I just wanted them to see Beckley. That did make some people on campus happy, but I didn't lose any sleep over it. And we pulled off onto Harper Road, and they go, oh my God, I can't wait to come here.
wow.
I mean, and that was just coming off the interstate. So the opportunities for our students are enormous here. And being able to catch them when we get here, I think next semester having something on an evening, and they can come down, and I can find a student that's able to drive. You wouldn't believe the number of students on our campus that don't have cars, don't know how to drive.
Scott, some of us do live even far from
Yeah,
Beckley,
yeah.
so it's a little hard
Yeah.
for us to go to Montgomery.
Yeah,
But I certainly think starting next fall,
Yeah.
we can be much more active
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you. I'd like to see if we could do something this next semester, but I think especially starting next fall.
well, and even if I could get them to come to on a Sunday morning,
Right.
if they didn't make any poor choices on Saturday night.
I can haul 4 of them up here and I can
Well,
spend
we can
the
get a
night
van
there.
from the school, and if I can find a student that can drive.
Now, is that possible for Christmas Day?
A lot of our kids do go home. I'm gonna put it on the Facebook group that you all have extended an offer that if they want to come here, because we do have kids from down in this area too, in the organization. We have some from this area also that are probably against our organization, but again, I don't lose any sleep over that. I will put it out there. I don't know if most of them go home. Some of them have jobs in Montgomery, but we can put it out there so they have some place to go. I'll put it out there.
That would be wonderful,
Yeah.
but we're not able at
Yeah.
this point,
Yeah.
to provide transportation. That would be great.
All right, well, if any other questions, because
Not a
I'll talk all
question.
day.
Just to mention, I haven't even had a chance really to share this with the board, but this past week I heard about an initiative done by some UUs to help transgender folks get passports right now.
Okay.
Because there is a way, if you've got a letter from your medical person, that you can get a passport in your identity. And then, you know, and then you can use that in the future. And they're saying it's important to get that going because with this new administration,
Yes.
things may change.
Well,
So
and-
I'll talk to you about that more later, or talk to Marcia.
well,
but
if
it's
you ever
something
want
I'm-
me to come and talk about transgender, I will do my best, because that's a whole other discussion. So,
Right, but I'm gonna talk to our board about us
Okay.
doing a workshop on that.
well, thank you all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I will talk to them blue in the face. So.